Okay. Well, you could just increase the if you want to gain weight, some
No,
size.
no,
Just
no, sir. No, sir. No, 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 thank you.
okay. All right.
So
Who's next?
Exactly. No.
you're supposed to remind him for two things.
All right, Dora. Yeah. Nobody reminded me. Nobody reminded me at
Yes,
all.
the
So we're
apple,
supposed to remind you.
Yes.
We're
apple,
supposed
and something else. Something about apple.
Yeah. Nobody reminded me. Nobody reminded me. That's okay. Next week.
Well, we're reminding you now so you could do it.
No, I can't do it now. It's on my other computer.
Oh, you were supposed to be reminded. You didn't. Okay, you didn't say when you needed to be. I thought you had to be reminded the day of. See the
Okay.
benefits of an apple and food combination.
That's
So
correct.
wait, you told me to remind you here now, not if you would have said, okay, remind me the day before. I would have wrote that
Yeah.
in my
Yeah.
notes.
Yeah. I
You
wish.
didn't
I wish you would.
specify.
I wish you would hang your law degree on the wall so I can see it.
You want to see it right here?
Yeah.
Here's
I want to
the
see.
note.
I want to see your law degree. That's all I was going to see.
Oh no, not the law degree. The
I
secretarial disc.
I told you guys
Um,
last week to remind me during the week so I can put it on my slide. I didn't say remind me on Thursday. I said during the week. Do you remember that?
no, I didn't hear that.
Honestly, I forgot.
Okay.
Well,
All
I
right.
didn't hear that part.
So then when you remind me this coming week, God willing, have it next week.
I'm going to blame your wife for that. Your wife should have reminded you. I'm
Hey,
going to
blame.
text her
I agree.
and try to find out why she didn't remind you.
I
Really?
I agree, Caroline. I totally agree.
Good
Deal with
God,
her
you're
for me.
supposed to
Okay.
Oh
remind
my
him.
God.
Oh, yeah. Really, really.
Deal with her
The
for me.
wife
Deal with
is
her.
at fault.
Yes.
Yes, I
Yes.
will.
Deal with her. Okay. Who's
Mercy.
next? Who's next? Who's next? Dora, you did the homework?
Yes, I was gonna say I had missed. Honestly, I had missed that part. You did a
Y-
job to ask again at the time what it was. But to my understanding, was it a journal that we were supposed to keep of what we were supposed to eat each day?
Yeah, you and sister Marilyn were supposed to exchange numbers to get whatever information you were lacking. I remember I'm old, but I have a good memory.
Okay.
Yeah, you always supposed to exchange numbers in the chat and get whatever you're missing and to get the homework. I remember that.
Okay,
Oh,
Mr.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
that was the marriage homework, I think.
What?
I remember the marriage part. Yes.
Yeah, the marriage homework part. Because then I
It
was
wasn't the
looking at
marriage
my.
homework. It was this class last Thursday.
Oh.
No, it was the marriage homework.
Okay, all right. I stand corrected.
Yeah,
I
because we have some homework that's incomplete. We need to do. Okay, so who is the person who's speaking?
Dora.
Dora. Wait a minute, do I have her number in here?
I don't know. All right.
Should.
So while you're figuring that out, who's next with the homework? Any more homework? If not, we'll just continue. Going once, going twice.
Just before you're gone, you talked so fast just now, I didn't catch it. You said this time we're together is to value our time and the other point, please.
Yeah, I was saying I want you to value your time, and the journal is to help you keep a track. At least you'll pick one thing, one takeaway you got from the whole 8 weeks on restraint, helping with your diet, all that kind of stuff is for you to learn. And so the idea is we're trying to create a community where we can come together, help each other, grow together. And when your family and friends see a difference in you, that's a living testimony.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right. So
Basically, you're acting like a recording angel for
me?
yourself.
Oh no,
No, because the recording, we have a recording angel that records everything that we're doing,
of course.
right? So there'll be an account for, there'll be an account, well, this is why this person is saved, this is why this person is lost.
What's that big
So,
orange thing behind it? Is that an exercise ball your husband has there?
yes, that is an exercise ball.
It's always
Why
a
he have that in front of his face? I don't know why.
all right.
So he has some for different sizes. That's basically for his size and my size for our. You have to have an exercise ball My husband has taught me based on your height.
Well, that ball is almost as big as my head, so I'm glad it's orange. You can be distinct with who's who. All right. So if there are no more homework, let's continue. We prayed already, so we can go right into our presentation. And as always, there are two things and two promises. Two things. One, get paper and writing instruments. Take some notes. The shortest pencil is longer than the longest memory. Number two, the second thing, stay away from the 5 worst words in the world. I have heard that before. Those words create closed-mindedness instead of open-mindedness. The two promises, one, that you would learn something today that you can use right away. And number two, I'm available to work with you further. Now, let me just pause here. This is for those, some of you may know or may not know, where we finished with some people on here and on others, a 4-week marriage seminar. 4 weeks, 1 month. It was free of charge, but it was deep. And I think a lot of people would confess that it was beneficial, so that ended on Monday. So this coming Monday, we're taking a break and we are reconvening on the 16th of October. This time we're doing a 5-week deeper dive marriage seminar. And there's a cost for this one. And I know some of you would say that this is ridiculously low, but that's okay, right? So the price is $249 either for a couple or for a single. And that's like $49.80 a week, basically. Of course, there's an early bird special of $199 if it's paid by the 12th of October. That's next Thursday, I believe. And the cost you'll be paying per week is $39.80. So if you're interested or know somebody, I know Sister Carolyn just came back from a marriage seminar that she enjoyed totally. So, so she mightn't be interested in this. But if you know somebody who could benefit from this, contact me. You can pay by Zelle or by scanning the code here for PayPal payments, or contact me here. All right. So our disclaimer, the information provided in this presentation is intended for general informational purposes only and should not be considered as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. As a naturopathic doctor, I am sharing insights and suggestions based on my expertise in natural health and wellness. However, it's important to consult with a medical doctor before making any significant changes to your health regimen, especially if you have underlying medical conditions, are taking medications, or have specific health concerns. Okay, so today we are dealing with harnessing the healing power of sunlight. Is the last of the 8 laws of health that we started. And from next week, God willing,
I know how to do that.
from next week, God willing, we'll be on another topic. And if you have a couple of people, I think, sent me, or one person sent me some topics that they were interested in. Send me topics that you might be interested to hear. There's no guarantee it will be done right away, but we'll have it on record to use as we deem fit. All right. So this is the last of the 8 laws of health, harnessing the healing power of sunlight, a naturopathic perspective. So the objectives today, what we want to cover, we want to understand the benefits of sunlight, and we will delve into the various benefits that sunlight offers to our physical and mental health. We'll also look at safe sun exposure, and I will provide insights into how to enjoy the benefits of sunlight while minimizing the risks associated with excessive exposure. We'll also be integrating sunlight into a holistic health regimen. And the intention is to explore how sunlight can seamlessly be incorporated into a holistic approach to health, aligning with naturopathic principles. So I'm excited today to share these valuable insights about harnessing the healing power of sunlight. All right. So let's deal with the radiant benefits of sunlight. I'll ask you to mute yourselves unless you feel the desire to ask a question. So we won't be getting any background noises. The radiant benefits of sunlight. So sunlight plays a fundamental role in our lives, right? It's not just a source of illumination or light, but it is a vital component for human health and well-being. And the objectives of the presentation will be to understand the benefits, save sun exposure, and integrating the sunlight. So we start off with vitamin D, the sunshine vitamin, unveiling vitamins D, vital role, vitamin D. So vitamin D, as some of us may know, is a fat-soluble vitamin, and it is crucial for your bodily functions. It plays a role in your bone health, in your immune function, and the regulation of calcium and phosphorus in your body. So the process of vitamin D causes synthesis, and that word simply means the production of a substance from simpler minerals after a chemical reaction, right? So the process occurs uh, in the skin when it is exposed to sunlight. We're looking also at the UVB rays, right? UVB stands for ultraviolet, and there are two types of ultraviolet rays. You have the UVA, the A rays, and that's 95% of the rays of the sunlight, and the UVB is 5% of the rays of the sunlight, right? And UVB, of course, has from the sun triggers the conversion of a precursor molecule into active vitamin D. So you need to get the UVB sunlight or the radiation, right? So it makes up 5% of the sun's radiation. And the potential health consequences of vitamin D deficiency are weakened bones. And sometimes you see somebody walking with bowed legs. We call it bandied legs sometimes, but that's basically something called rickets, where the bones were too soft as a child, too soft to bear the weight of the person, and the legs just caved in. It caved in, right? So some women like tall, handsome men that have a bandied leg. It looks, nice. They look as though they just came off riding a horse, and they find that sexy. More power to you, right? But that's basically rickets. So weakened bones, if you have a deficiency of vitamin D, it increases your susceptibility to infections, and you have a higher risk of certain chronic diseases, such as cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and certain cancers, right? So we want to talk about the sunlight's role in our health, and sunlight plays a vital role in synthesizing vitamin D in your skin, as vitamin D is essential for calcium absorption and overall bone health. So what are some of the potential health implications of vitamin D deficiency? And we just mentioned a few, but we'll go a little deeper. The bone health, weakening of your bones that leads to conditions like osteoporosis, increased risk for fracture, rickets, and what have you. Immune function, it may increase the susceptibility to infections and autoimmune diseases. That's why during the COVID time, doctors were advising to get a lot of sunlight, vitamin D, especially Black folks, because of the melatonin on our skin is much thicker. The cardiovascular diseases and diabetes, certain cancers are very serious things with vitamin D. Elderly individuals are very susceptible, also children and adolescents. Your certain ethnic background, your diversity in ethnic groups, all of this play a part in how you'll be affected by a deficiency of vitamin D. All right. So we want to look at a case study, and I forgot to put a disclaimer on this. This by in no way was meant to represent anybody on the platform. Please don't, if it looks like Dora, it wasn't meant to look like Dora. All right, so forgive me. All right. So case study number 1, right? Sarah's osteoporosis. Sarah's osteoporosis. So I'll give you the background. Sarah is a 65-year-old woman who rarely spends time outdoors, and she follows a strict vegan diet. She avoids dairy products and doesn't take vitamin D supplements. So what's the impact? Sarah was diagnosed with osteoporosis, a condition characterized by weakened bones, and her deficiency in vitamin D, along with a lack of dietary calcium, contributed to her bone health deterioration. And she suffered a hip fracture after a minor fall. So the outcome, after consulting with a healthcare provider, Sarah started receiving vitamin D supplements and calcium-rich foods. Over time, her body bone density improved, and she exercised or experienced fewer fractures, significantly enhancing her quality of life. All right. So we want to look at achieving the optimal vitamin D levels through sun exposure. And there needs to be a right balance to prevent deficiency and to minimize the risk of skin damage from the sun. We look at skin types. The darker your skin, the more it contains melanin, which reduces your skin's ability to produce vitamin D. So if you look like me, you have a lot of melanin and you need more sunlight. Lighter skinned individuals typically require less sun exposure, and they produce to produce vitamin D. The time of day. The UVB rays responsible for vitamin D synthesis are most intense around midday. And individuals who are seeking sunlight exposure do so when the sun is at its highest point, right? And so we're not saying to go and sunbathe at 12 o'clock. We're saying if you have lighter skin, the time of day, darker skin, time of day to get the best sunlight for vitamin D is around midday, but not for very long, as we'll come to. Also, geographical location. This influences recommendations. Individuals who are closer to the equator receive more intense sunlight throughout the year, while those at higher latitudes may experience reduced sunlight during certain seasons. So, for example, in 1999, I went to Barrow, Alaska. That's a small village about 100 miles behind the North Pole. Went to visit my aunt. Yes, there are Black folks in Alaska, a lot of them. And it was around Christmas time, at the end of the year, in December. And they were having night 24/7. The sun came out at about 2 p.m. in the afternoon for about 15 minutes, and it created a kind of a twilight. But other than that, it was dark 24/7. So they have a kind of a ratio, depending on what village you are in Alaska. They may have 6 months of sunlight, 6 months of darkness, 9 months of sunlight, 3 months of darkness, what have you. But it's very interesting. So here are some general guidelines. If you're light to medium skinned, or you have a light to medium skin tone as an individual, 10 to 30 minutes of sun exposure to the arms, the face, the legs, or back, ideally around midday, a few times a week can often suffice. Darker individuals with skin tones or those in regions with limited sunlight, longer exposure or supplementation may be necessary. It is important to strike a balance between reaping the benefits of sun exposure and protecting against harmful UV radiation, right? Because excessive sun exposure can lead to skin damage and increase the risk of skin cancer. So I'm encouraging you to consult with your health provider for personalized recommendations based on your specific circumstances, including your skin type, your location, and your individual health consideration. So we're talking about balancing your body clock, right? Balancing your body clock, sunlight, and your circadian rhythm. I'm sure you've heard of this before. I'm not sure if you fully understand it, So let's go slowly, right? So the word circadian, the Latin meaning of this is two words, circa diem, and that translates in modern English to mean about a day. So when we talk about the circadian rhythm, we're talking what happens to your body in a 24-hour period. Is that clear? Is that clear? All right, good. So if you look at the screen, you will see this clock is a 24-hour clock, right? This 6 over here is 6 a.m. for the midday, 6 in the evening, 12 midnight, right? So your highest alertness is at about, this is about 9 o'clock here in the morning, your highest alertness. Your fastest increase in blood pressure is between 6 and 9. At 6 o'clock, if you are awake and get the sunlight or a sunrise, your cortisol is released in your body to give you energy. That's why you're alert up here by 9 o'clock. The cortisol is released, and that, of course, will raise your blood pressure and make you to be very alert. At well, let's go this way, right? So at about there's about 2 o'clock here. That's when you have your best time for coordination. At about what is this? 12, 3. Yeah, okay. The fastest reaction time, 6 in the evening, your highest body temperature. All right. So that's noteworthy. If you're sick and the wrong 6 o'clock, your temperature will tend to be higher than during other parts of the day. As we go down past 6 o'clock, around 7 o'clock or so, that's the time of your highest blood pressure. So if you're taking your blood pressure around 8 at night, expect it to be high. All right. At about where we are, about 10 o'clock here, your body begins to secrete melatonin. Melatonin. You notice that there's the sun is here, and the person is getting sunlight. All right. So in the morning, the sunlight triggers your melatonin to turn off and to turn on the cortisol to give you energy for the day. So if you sleep in past sunlight, past sunrise, you normally miss that opportunity. And if you're honest, you would know that during the day you'll be kind of groggy, right? And grumpy as well. Yeah. So at around 10 o'clock, the melatonin is decreased. So in the evening at sunset, you want to get the sunset sun, it turns off the cortisol and turns on the melatonin so you can get good rest at night. So that's why you need to be in bed by about 9:30 with all devices off, and we'll cover that soon. So your brain could shut down and you can get that rest and your body can begin to heal. And if you go past midnight at about 1 or so, 12:30, you should be in a deep sleep, right? So this is how you can balance your body clock called the circadian rhythm, right? And there's a connection between sunlight and your circadian rhythm. The circadian rhythms of your body are natural, right? It's an internal clock that regulates various physiological processes over a 24-hour cycle, as we said over here, and exposure to natural light, particularly sunlight, plays a critical role in regulating these rhythms. So you want to look at how natural light or sunlight influences sleep patterns. So melatonin production, exposure to morning sunlight helps increase or decrease rather melatonin production, making you more alert and awake during the day. The evening exposure to the sunlight, the exposure to artificial or bright light in the evening, especially from electronic devices, can disrupt your circadian rhythm by inhibiting melatonin release, potentially leading to sleep disturbances, right? So you see here, this small thing called the pineal gland is very important in releasing the melatonin, right, to your body to get sleep. So the person here has a healthy circadian rhythm. Her friend over here, not so much, right? Her rhythm is in disorder. So when she should be sleeping, she's awake, right? Looking at television, out shopping, whatever. causing problems. So poor sleep quality, irregular melatonin levels, increasing the prevalence of sleep disorders and subsequent chronic diseases like diabetes. Okay, the overall health implications of vitamin D or lack thereof. So there are broad health implications of well-regulated circadian rhythms, right? Sleep quality. When your circadian rhythm is aligned, this can lead to improved sleep quality, making you feel more rested and rejuvenated. It also, a well-balanced circadian rhythm can positively impact your mood regulation, reducing the risk of mood disorders like depression and anxiety. So there are some strategies for aligning your circadian rhythm with sunlight. Uh, here are some practical strategies. Morning exposure. So the man on the right is getting exposed to the sunlight, to the sunrise sunlight. And I want to encourage you to have morning exposure to the natural sunlight. And you may want to go outside for a walk or sitting by a window to help kickstart the day and reset your body's internal clock. You want to limit evening light, especially just before bedtime, like we talked about. Limit exposure to bright screens and artificial light sources in the late evening, especially before bedtime. And you want to have a consistent sleep schedule. It is important, it is critical, it is crucial to maintain a consistent sleep schedule, even on weekends, even on the weekends, to reinforce circadian rhythm alignment. Uh, Sunlight can also be a natural antidepressant. It has a profound impact on your mental health and can serve as a natural mood booster. And this is because exposure to the sunlight triggers the release of neurotransmitter called serotonin, which is the good or the mood regulating neurotransmitter. It has a significant impact on your mood, your circadian rhythm, and your body's production of key hormones. Therefore, sunlight has the potential to reduce the risk of depression and enhance your body's emotional well-being. Oops, my apologies. All right. So sunlight exposure affects, we just said, the serotonin, but it also affects the melatonin production in your body. All right. And these are the biochemical mechanisms through which sunlight influences your mood. And we spoke about the serotonin production, because when you're exposed to the sunlight, it stimulates the production of serotonin, and it gives you the happy feeling, the well-being. The melatonin regulation, when you're exposed to natural light during the day, it helps to regulate the body's melatonin production, which is essential for maintaining healthy sleep-wake cycles. I've heard before, I'm sure you heard this before, right? SAD. Uh, People are normally sad around the winter time, the fall time, because they are sad. They have seasonal affective disorder. And you can use sunlight as a natural remedy for seasonal affective disorder, so you no longer have to be sad. All right. So this disorder is a type of depression that occurs seasonally, and it's typically during the fall and the winter months when there's reduced sunlight. And some of the symptoms you can look for is low energy, mood changes, and increased appetite. Then, especially for the last one, some of us may have SAD all year round, right? Because we like to eat all the time. Okay, so the treatment for SAD or seasonal affective disorder is sunlight exposure. This is a natural and effective treatment for SAD. The use of light therapy boxes also that mimic natural sunlight and their positive impact on SAD symptoms. I don't really recommend that unless it's an extreme case. Use the natural sunlight to help get rid of your sadness, All right, so how can we improve the mood through the sunlight exposure. How can we do so? Well, by getting a daily dose, right? And the recommended dose is every day for about 10 minutes or so. And even a short walk or spending time in a sunny spot can boost your mood. However, be mindful of your sun exposure, avoiding excessive sunburn risk, and finding a balance that works for your skin type and location. I want to emphasize the importance of sun-safe exposure practices. It is significant that you be reminded to practice safe sun exposure. For one reason is your skin condition. Safe sun exposure practices are vital not only for protecting your skin from damage, but also for your overall health. It is important to minimize the risk of sunburn, premature aging, and the development of skin cancer by being safe in the sun. So let's talk about the duration and timing recommendations based, first of all, on your skin type. So if you're fair-skinned, you are more susceptible to sunburn and should limit your sun exposure compared to those with darker skin. The sun-safe exposure is often best achieved during the early morning or late afternoon when the sun's UV radiation is less intense. Shorter controlled exposure to sunlight is generally safer than prolonged exposure. And you could gradually increase your time in the sun as your skin gets accustomed to it to avoid getting sunburned. The peak hours for prolonged sunlight would be between the hours of 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. And that's when the sun's rays are the strongest and more likely to cause skin damage. I beg your pardon. Those are the times you'll want to spend less time in the sun, between 10 and 4. So the best times for the general sunlight is at sunrise, sunset. If you're lacking vitamin D, you go out around midday for no more than about 10 minutes to get that strong sunlight to help boost your vitamin D. Holistic sunlight integration. And we want to show how everything we do must be holistic, it must be balanced, right? It must have a holistic approach to your health. Holistic health considers the well-being of the entire person, mind, body, and spirit. And it goes beyond treating symptoms to address the root causes of your diseases. And it's important to have a balance. So I want to give some practical tips for incorporating sun-safe exposure into your daily life. And we spoke about the morning ritual. So I want you to consider taking or making morning sun exposure a part of your daily ritual, and even in the wintertime, okay? And you could do activities like if planting a garden, a rose garden or vegetable garden, and you go out and talk to the fruits. Of course, that's during the summer and springtime when there are fruits. Talk to them. That's relaxing for stress. And if you have good ground to walk on, walk barefooted to get the energy from the earth. Again, we want to talk about holistic. And even a very short time in the sun can boost your mood and your energy, right? So like you talk about gardening or outdoor hobbies, the natural thing that you would do it in the sun. You want to exercise, do it in the sun. Do it in the sun. Are you playing a sport? Do it in the sun. So I want to discuss how sunlight complements other naturopathic principles. All right, so I'll talk about three things. The first one is nutrition, or our food. This spells food. Uh, a diet rich in nutrients, particularly vitamin D and other essential vitamins and minerals, complements the benefits of sunlight for overall health. That's why we did all of the other stuff before the sunlight, right? The sunlight is the backup for everything. Number two, exercise. There is a synergy between exercise, I beg your pardon, sun exposure and the physical activity. Outdoor exercise in natural light can enhance your mood and your well-being. So if you have your treadmill in your garage, open the garage, get some fresh air coming in, or walking is better. It's a less impact on your body and on your heels, on your feet. Number three, stress management, right? This by no way is meant to look like anybody here this evening. Sunlight exposure can be a natural stress reducer and could contribute to relaxation and improved mental health. And for some of us who are always giving people a piece of our mind, we need some sunlight. We need some sunlight.
Where did you get my picture from?
Yeah, I wasn't going to call your name, but since you own up to it, no problem. Okay. So, with some here 6 ways, a few minutes of sunlight every day can benefit you. Number one, sunlight can lower your blood pressure. Based on research, nitric oxide, which is a compound that helps to lower blood pressure, is released into your blood vessels when sunlight touches your skin. And this finding was huge, a huge accomplishment, since until then, it was thought that the production of vitamin D was the only benefit of sunlight to humans. So sun exposure won't just improve your health, but also prolong your life, since it cuts the risk of heart attacks and strokes by improving heart health. Number two, it boosts brain function. Vitamin D is now also linked with the functioning of your brain. Studies have shown that sunlight can help spur nerve cell growth in the hippocampus, which is responsible for developing, organizing, and storing memories. Therefore, it was found that people aged 65 or older had their cognitive functions decreased because of their low vitamin D levels. Number three, it improves your bone health. It is a fairly known fact that vitamin D stimulates the absorption of bone strengthening phosphorus and calcium in your body. However, research has also indicated that vitamin D, D3, a fat soluble vitamin formed during the vitamin D manufacture, regulates calcium absorption. This means that the higher levels of vitamin D3 in your blood, the lower the risk of fractures of nearly all types, right? So therefore, sun exposure is especially essential for the bone health of older individuals. Number four, it improves your quality of sleep. Sunlight exposure affects how much melatonin your brain produces. I'll say it again. Your exposure to sunlight determines how much melatonin your brain produces. And this kind of hormones tells your brain when it's time to sleep until the sun goes down again. Your body gets a clear signal that it's already morning, and this helps maintain a regular circadian rhythm. So when it gets dark again, your body sends signals and you feel drowsy at bedtime. So if you spend at least 10 minutes in the sun every so often, your body gets the message that it's day, and it stimulates the brain to stop releasing melatonin. Number five, and this by no means represents anybody from Texas whatsoever. Number five, it enhances your mood. Even a little bit of sunshine is enough to improve your mood. Dark and dreary tends to create a gloomy and lethargic atmosphere. But when you are surrounded by sunlight, you tend to be happier and more energetic. When light enters the eye, it stimulates the neurons that influences your mood. And these nerve impulses go to the pineal gland that regulates the serotonin, which is the feel-good hormone that closely linked or is closely linked to your mood. And number six, it helps to clear up conditions like psoriasis. So if you're tired of the itchy, raised, uh, scaly patches of your skin, right, also called psoriasis, it can be cleared up by the natural sunlight. This is why, in general, exposing the sun or your skin to sunlight for around 30 minutes a day is recommended for people with this skin condition. All right, so this treatment is effective for most people with psoriasis, as they typically notice improvement within 3 to 6 weeks of undergoing sunlight therapy. All right, so this is our last slide before we go to questions and answers, and it's taken from the book Testimonies, Volume 7, page 85. Page 85. Pure air, good water, sunshine, the beautiful surroundings of nature. These are God's means for restoring the sick to health. Amen, amen, amen. All right, questions and answers. I may have questions, maybe you have the answers.
So Asian people. Oh, raise my hand.
Yes, and say your name. Your husband is reminding you to do the right thing.
Sister White, and then.
Okay, I'll take you after Sister Carolyn. Go, Sister White.
So, Asian people. Well, I shouldn't say all Asian people, but some people are so afraid of the sun that they're always walking around with a hat. They want to try to preserve their youth, and and what about sunblock? Which I don't use sunblock, and I feel like, why is there more sun cancers now? Because back in the day, we didn't have sunblock before, and we were out in the sun, walking from one place from Jerusalem to the next place, and exposed, by the sun. So explain that.
Oh,
So basically, Asian people,
was there a
they
question?
avoid the sun so they could look younger, right?
I'm not Asian, so I wouldn't know.
Or lighter skinned people, they use it so, or lighter skinned people use it to try to preserve their youth, or trying to look young. And they would say the reason why they look so young is because they avoid the sun.
Right. So, we can very easily throw out the baby with the bathwater. Right. So, in one sense, they may be right, whoever's saying that the sun can age you, it could make your skin get like a prune. Of course, if you're getting the wrong sunlight and the wrong times, based on your skin texture.
Okay.
So it's yes and no.
So do you recommend sunblock?
I am not a sunblock scientist. I'm a naturopathic doctor. I recommend natural stuff. That's why I didn't touch that.
I don't use sunblock.
You could contact your your dermatologist, and you could take their recommendations. So if you had to sue anybody, you can sue them. Amen.
Yeah, they'll tell you to use sunblock. All the dermatologists, they'll tell you to use sunblock.
Yeah, because that's chemicals, right? The same reason if you get a burn at home from oil or from whatever it is, you got to burn, you don't put oil on it, even coconut oil, because they will fry it more, right? So they have their reasons for recommending sunblock, and more power to them. More power to them. All right, next question. I think was Sister Carolyn next.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's a question. I know you're naturopathic, and I believe in natural also. But with that young man who has said that the doctor said his vitamin D level was low, I like to get numbers. I was down to 13, and I walk. This was in 2015. I was down to 13, and that was way below the 30 you're supposed to be. And it took taking D2 over the prescription, 50,000 units to get me back up. I struggle, and I walk every day between the hours of 12 and 2 for an hour, and I still struggle. But I really believe it's working in the hospital with the fluorescent light while I
Yes.
struggle with my vitamin D. I think that light is killing us. And just like you mentioned, the young lady, Miss White, mentioned the fact about they didn't used to use sunblocks, and all of a sudden now we have skin cancer. Well, what did we start using? Sunblocks.
Right.
So we start using sunblocks and we start getting skin cancer. Listen to me. The doctors are not here to get you well so that they could stop making money. That's all I could say. They're not trying to get you so they could stop making money. They have to make money some kind of how.
Mm-hmm.
So you
Mm-hmm.
have to recommend something. You know, you very few doctors believe in nature and healing. So I always do recommend people that they should see naturopathic doctors because they believe in what God intended us to use. But
Amen.
thank you. I just wanted that young man who have a vitamin D, if it's low, sometimes